Hey everyone, and welcome. We're diving into something I know you guys care about, like, a lot, being the best dads you can be. And guess what? You sent in an awesome guide to help us out.
Oh, yeah, I saw this. Keeping Together. Sounds like it's right up our alley.
Right, a guide to fatherhood and mental well-being, single dads, new dads, bonding with your kids. This thing's got it all.
See, that's what I like to hear. It's not just about, the mechanics of fatherhood.
Yeah.
This guide gets into the nitty-gritty, the mental and emotional side of things. It's
Mm.
almost refreshing how it's like, hey, dads are human too.
Exactly. And that's not always easy to admit, right? Like with all the expectations society throws at us. There was this one line in the guidebook really made me stop and think. It said, "A father's mental well-being isn't just a personal matter, it's the foundation for a healthy family dynamic." What do you think of that?
Oh, man, that is so spot on. It's like the core message of the whole thing.
Hmm.
It's not about dads needing to man up or just tough it out. A dad's mental health, it has a
Yeah.
huge impact
Mhm.
on their kids, their partners, even their own future selves.
Honestly, sometimes I fall into that trap, thinking, I got this, I can handle it all. But the truth is, we all need a little help sometimes. And this guidebook, it gets that. It's not afraid to say it. In fact, there's a whole chapter on building a support system. And it's like they really get into why that's so important, especially for, single dads or new fathers. I even remember, what was that phrase they used? Something like navigating the landmines of.
Loneliness and isolation. They weren't kidding around, man. Being a dad, especially if you're doing it solo, it can be crazy isolating.
Yeah, and they told this one dad story. It really stuck with me. After his divorce, he was saying he felt like he was living on an island. Like even with people around, he felt totally alone. And it made me think about how easy it is to get stuck in our own heads.
Totally get that. And what I like is how the guidebook makes it clear. It's not weak to reach out for support. In fact, it's incredibly strong. It takes
Mm.
real self-awareness to say, hey, I need a hand.
And it's not just single dads, right? I bet those feelings, that isolation, it can hit new dads hard too. I mean, think about it. You have a baby, suddenly everything's different. Talk about a steep learning curve.
Tell me about it. I love how the guidebook calls it a crash course in humility.
Hmm.
Like, that's fatherhood in a nutshell, right? Letting go of that need to know everything and being okay with saying, help.
Right? It takes a village and all that. But just knowing that doesn't make it easier to actually ask for help. So, what kind of support systems does this guide recommend? We got to be specific here for our listeners.
It goes way beyond just having someone watch the kids so you can catch a nap. Although, hey, that's important too.
Yeah.
This guide, it stresses the emotional support, having people you can be real with, your fears, your doubts, even just sharing those awesome dad moments.
Totally. It's about having that space where you can be vulnerable, no judgment, because let's be honest, fatherhood, it's a roller coaster. Ups, downs, the whole shebang.
100%.
Yeah.
And they encourage dads to use it all.
Hmm.
Friends, family, support groups, even therapists.
Mhm.
There's no one answer that fits everybody. The key is finding what works for you.
So true. Okay, so you've got your support system in place. How does this guidebook say we actually build that strong bond with our kids? Like going beyond just being there, but being present, engaged. That's what I loved about it, that focus on quality time.
And not just any quality time, right?
Mm.
It's about making it count, tailoring it to where your kid's at.
Yeah.
Like they even give you these age-specific activities, conversation starters. I thought that was super useful.
Okay, for real. Give me an example. What'd you like?
Well, for the little ones, they're big on playful interaction.
Yeah.
Reading together, building a fort, even just having a good tickle fight. They might seem small, but those moments build the foundation for a strong bond.
Yeah.
Pure connection.
See, I love that. It's like a reminder that the most powerful stuff is often the simplest. But then, what about as kids get older? Teenagers, man, their needs change so fast. What'd they say about that stage? It's like the guidebook says, those teenage years, whoa boy, navigating a minefield is right. So what'd they say? How do you stay connected when they're like that?
Well, they have this whole thing on what they call active listening. And you know what? It's not just for teenagers, but man, it is super key for that age. It's about them knowing, like really knowing that you're listening,
Mm.
not just waiting to jump in with your 2 cents.
Oh man, tell me about it. I am so guilty of that. Like wanting to fix it, give advice, when really they just need to vent or just be heard?
It's such a dad move though, right? But this guidebook, it gives some solid tips on how to actually do that active listening thing. Like instead of interrupting, try asking those open-ended questions, right? The ones that get them talking more. Tell me more about that, or how did that make you feel? Basic stuff, but it works.
See, and it all comes back to that safe space thing, right? No matter how old they are, you're showing up, not just physically, but emotionally too.
100%.
Yeah.
And that, my friend, is where this whole deep dive comes full circle. Remember that quote from the beginning
Hmm.
about a father's mental well-being being the foundation for the whole family? Well, when you're taking care of yourself, building your support network, figuring out how to connect with your kids, you're basically making that foundation rock solid.
It's not selfish taking care of yourself as a dad. It's essential. Seriously, one of the best things you can do for your kids.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah,
And this guidebook, Keeping It Together, it's a pretty awesome tool to help you do just that.
for sure. All right, so let's wrap this up with the main takeaway for all the dads out there. You got this. Seriously, keep showing up, keep learning, keep building those bonds with your kids.
Yeah.
And until next time, take care.